welcome back to my channel. I hate long intros, so we're going to get right into it. If you click this video, you're probably a member of the yarn fandom, and you're curious about Big Twist's new yarn called Supernova. It comes in 12 colors, which I'm showing right now. I was only able to get my hands on 6 of them, so here are photos of all 12 color options from Joann's website. I really like that they offer a decent range of color options, from bright colors to more neutral colors, and a couple of rainbow options out of the 12 that they offer, so I think that's a really good mix. And this color here, Planet Jupiter, I didn't see it in store, and there's only one photo of it available on Joann's website, so I don't know much more about that one. And this color here, Rainbow Meteorite, is the color that caught my eye, and the reason I even gave the Supernova yarn a chance at all. I wasn't able to find the color Terraforming, and that was one that I was kind of excited to see in person, and one that I had a hat idea for pretty much as soon as I saw it. So I'm a little bummed that I didn't get to try that one out. This is what the color Rainbow Meteorite looks like in my house under a daylight colored light bulb, and this is what it looks like outside in the sunlight. Here is Starburst, and outside. This one is called Purple Cosmos. It's really, really pretty. The photos just don't do it justice. This one is called Mother Earth, and it's probably in my top 3. This one is Milky Way Galaxy. And last but not least, this is Blue Planet. This is the one I wasn't totally sure about when I was looking online, and when I saw it in store, I absolutely had to have it. I am going to be making a crochet cabled beanie with Rainbow Meteorite. This yarn is a wool blend, so if you have allergies or you're making something for somebody who has wool allergies, you probably want to skip this one. It's an 80% acrylic and a 20% wool blend. I personally love blends like this. I've used bamboo and acrylic and cotton and acrylic and wool and acrylic blends, and I love them all except cotton. I'm not a super huge fan of cotton personally. This yarn is a size 2, so it's pretty thin. The recommended hook and needle size is a 4mm or a size 6 for both, or a size G in crochet hooks. I'm a rebel and I don't listen to the label at all, so I just use my trusty 5mm or size H crochet hook for pretty much everything. This crochet pattern comes from a crochet designer called April Draven. It was actually the first pattern I ever bought, and I was super intimidated by it, but it wasn't super hard to follow. It was my favorite pattern when I was semi-new to crochet, and long before I started designing and writing my own patterns. One thing that I love about this pattern is the crossed cables throughout the body of the hat, and the ribbed cuff on the front of the hat, so it has the classic winter beanie look, but if you don't knit, you can still make a classic. It's pretty versatile. I have made this style in a regular beanie, a slouchy beanie, and with and without pom-poms, and I think it looks really cool in single colors, variegated, striped, or color changing yarns, so it's definitely one of my favorite hat patterns. While I was making this hat, I wasn't sure how the color changing or striping would look, but it seems like it's sort of doing a self-stripe of gray and then color when you look at the whole hat. I was actually worried at first that the first few rows it was going to be gray on one side and then have the rainbow on the other, like a color block or a split color, and now I'm a little bit sad that it doesn't. I was worried it would look really weird since this hat pattern shows color changes in an interesting and usually unexpected way. I actually made this hat with Red Heart's retro stripes, and it was so full of hope that it would look amazing. I couldn't even find retro stripes anywhere for the longest time. After the circular knitting machine hat in retro stripes went totally viral, and every time I went to the store I was completely disappointed that there was none. The whole shelf was gone. It was empty. And it was out of stock online too. It was ridiculous. When I did finally get a skein of retro stripes, I made this hat pattern with it, and like I said, this pattern with color changing or variegated or self-striping yarn will have really interesting and unexpected results. I will actually post a photo here of that hat. I still like it, but it is not at all what I envisioned. Speaking of circular knitting machines, I wanted to give this yarn a good review, and being part of the yarn fandom doesn't just mean crocheters. I can't hand knit, but I can knit on a circular knitting machine, so while this isn't a great knitting review on this yarn, I can show what this yarn does look like knitted. I made a regular slouchy beanie with a faux cuff. I chose Red Heart's Heather Gray to be the secondary color. With the circular knitting machine hats, you basically make a long tube and then sew them together at the top, so they are double layered. I was not sure how this hat would work since the Red Heart yarn is a 4-ply worsted weight yarn and the Big Twist Supernova is a thin size 2 yarn, but I decided to just go with it. It's only a failure if you don't learn something. And here are the two hats that I made. I really like the color striping in both of them. In my opinion, the yarn isn't super hard to work with at all, even being a thinner yarn. I didn't have too many issues with going through the knitting machine either. I think I had 2 or maybe 3 tucked stitches, which just happens sometimes. So overall, no big deal. With that said, I wanted to really make sure that I tested this yarn out so other people who were curious could see how it looks, how it works up, and whether or not other people liked using it. So I made a third hat. I did make this on my circular knitting machine. I wanted to make a textured hat, but something with smaller textured stitches than the cabled beanie. I don't know what this hat pattern is called or where it came from. It's a common textured hat pattern in the circular knitting machine groups. So the technique involves wrapping your yarn around the pins. I wrapped 2 and then did a regular knit for 3 stitches and repeated that. So I would wrap 2 and knit 3 for about 40 rows. Then I did 60 rows of heather gray if you are interested in trying that. Again, I used Red Heart's Heather Gray for the secondary color, and I love how this one turned out. I love the colors, I love the striping, and I love the texture, and it turned out way better than I expected. Here are the 3 hats that I made. I love them all. I think they all have their own little personalities with how the color changes happen, with the different stitchers, and the different textures with the crochet cables and the knitting and wrapping techniques. I still have a good amount of yarn left. I made all of these from one skein of the Rainbow Meteorite. Here is a little cake that I made from the leftovers. I could probably make another hat on my knitting machine with this. I was going to make a plushie, but it's a wool blend, so I decided against doing that. Overall, I really like this yarn. It wasn't super hard for me to work with. It was a little bit more difficult because it's a thinner yarn, but it wasn't too bad. I love the striping. I love the colors. I love how it feels. It is so soft, and the cakes are so squishy. Let me know down in the comments which hat was your favorite and which color of the Supernova yarn that you liked best. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos from me in the future, you know what to do with the subscribe button. And if you want to be notified when I upload again, hit the bell. Thank you again so much for watching. I'll see you next time.